Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. Now, I know I haven't been back in a couple weeks. I didn't do a Jets recap slash reaction episode, and I didn't do a Eagles preview episode. That is because I'm still getting used to my internship. I've been there for a couple weeks now, but still getting used to it. That and between that and Thanksgiving and Black Friday, there was just a few things going on that I had to take care of, and a busy week, obviously. But anyway, I am back today for the Bills Eagles Week 12 recap. I know it didn't go the Bills' way, but let's get into it. I have a lot of frustrations and a lot of thoughts that I will weave in throughout this episode, throughout our discussion today. So the Bills follow the Eagles. The Eagles beat the Buffalo Bills 37-34 in overtime. Now, even though it didn't go Bills' way, this was an all-time classic of a game, instant classic, if you will. Um, all season. This just wasn't the best Bills game of all season. It was probably the best game of all season. There haven't been that many wow, that's a classic games with wow, we'll never see another game like that in the NFL. Unfortunately, though, the Bills just had to lose. Again, Eagles beat Bills 37-34. Bills inactives pregame. There's actually 7, which is actually quite a bit. I've seen as little as 5, and you rarely see 7. But yeah. Safety Taylor Rapp and corner Dane Jackson, a couple of secondary players. We already knew that. Taylor Rapp had a neck injury. He was stretched off the field on a backboard in an ambulance. Thank God he didn't go to the hospital against the Jets. He was home resting. He just obviously wasn't going to play, I don't think, this week, and he obviously didn't. Dane Jackson's still in concussion protocol. And actually, as of today, he still is in concussion protocol. So since Taylor Rapp was down, DeMar Hamlin was up, and he played core special team snaps because of that. Taylor Rapp also, when he's in, plays that. And then next linebacker, AJ Klein. I feel like they're flipping, if you will, between on a week-to-week basis. Do they want AJ Klein to be active or Bill Inspector to be active? It's just a veteran presence versus a younger, hopefully, or a special teamer. The way I look at Bill Inspector is hopefully he can turn into the next Tyler Matakevich. Where he's on this team years down the line, 5 or 6 years down the road from now, where still on this team because of special teams chops, special teams ace, as you will. So that's if you will. And then defensive tackle Poona Ford. I don't know what to tell you about this. I just don't. And then 2 offensive linemen, Jermaine Ifedi and Alec Anderson. They're just in break glass situations. They're really not needed. They're really good in the interior, which Alec Anderson is an interior player at guard. So, and then Jermaine Ifedi can play both guard and tackle. And then wide receiver, this is surprising but not surprising. Well, I guess you call it surprising. Deontay Hardy. Now, when they elevate, so the day before the game on Saturday, the 25th, 3 days ago, they elevated cornerback Jamarcus Ingram, which they had to because Dane was out. And then they elevated Andy Isabella for the practice squad. As soon as they elevated him, I knew something negative was coming for Deontay Hardy. And I don't know if this is fully negative, but obviously I expected him to be an active, healthy scratch. He's just done nothing. He's not a thing in this offense. And Andy Isabella isn't either because he barely got his snaps as it was himself when he was elevated. So either way, Deontay Hardy, that turf toe is really affecting him from the Saints last year because remember, he only played, I've said this before, he's only played 3 games. He only played 3 games, for the Saints last year. So that turf toe is really affecting him. But even he's okay on returns, but Andy Isabella can do that perfectly fine at the same level as him. I know as a rookie, he was an all-pro returner for the Saints in 2019, but it's not really fermented, if you will, for the Bills or whatever, however you say it. So yeah, he's obviously going to be cut past this offseason. Now they signed a 2-year, $13 million deal, which I really didn't understand at all at the time, all the way back in March, a long time ago. By now, it feels like 100 years ago, a century ago. But back in March, free agency, 2 years, $13 million. He was making $5 million this season, and very little dead cap if they cut him when his roster bonus is due in mid-March, when his money is guaranteed. They can save over a little over $4 million. They're going to do that. It's not if, it's when. As I kind of work through this Deontay Hardy inactive situation, I really keep pondering in my head, and I really keep thinking that we're going to see basically a whole new wide receiver, other than a couple guys, which I'll mention, and a whole new wide receiver core next year. this position, again, of wide receiver is going to go through a lot of transition. Your for sure things for next year are Stefon Diggs, and I'm talking about pure wide receiver. Dalton Kincaid's a tight end. He acts like a receiver, but he's a tight end, not including him. I see Stefon Diggs and Khalil Shakir returning, but they're probably going to cut Deontay Hardy. They're probably not going to re-sign Trent Sherfield. They're probably, and I don't want them to, they're probably not going to re-sign Gabe Davis for the money he wants. So Stefon Diggs and Khalil Shakir in and stay, and Gabe Davis, Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy out, and then they could draft a couple guys in the draft, maybe sign one or two for agency. Bottom line is, there's only two for sure. This group, wide receiver position group, is going to arguably be the most what do I want to say? Go through the most transition on this roster. There's going to be two to three new rostered players at wide receiver for sure, whether that's draft, free agency, maybe someone lingers closer to the season. But that's just where I'm at with this wide receiver. It could look very different next year, but Deontay Hardy's just a nobody in this offense. I'm sorry. He just hasn't done anything. Like, he has one touchdown in the year, but that was like on a weird jet sweep thing like weeks ago now. So, let's get into actual meat and potatoes, if you will, of this recap. Starting off with a ref rant. Okay? We had a couple games where the refs were okay for the Bills, nothing egregious. But this, by far, was the worst performance of the year. Sean Hockley is actually a above average crew, I feel like. He's actually one of the good refs in the league, but flat out, he sucked this game. Him and his crew didn't know what was going on. Now, I know if you're watching this and you're not a Bills fan, you're saying, well, you lost. Haha, you're just a salty Bills fan and you're just complaining. Excuse it. No, this isn't an excuse. Okay, this is not me saying, well, the refs were why we lost. Yeah, they played a part in it. It's not why they lost. They did play a part in it, though, and I'm going to explain that now. It's not an excuse. I want to say that again. If you're not a Bills fan, it's not an excuse. Refs rant. Two clear missed PI calls. Now, I don't like Tony Romo, but on the first one, he even said, yeah, that's a pass interference. Because Trent Sherfield literally, I can't remember the Eagles defender, but Trent Sherfield, who barely gets on the field as it is, was getting a target for some reason, and he would have had the ball catch easily, but his arm the defender literally had Sherfield's arm locked behind his back. No call. And then the second one in like the third quarter, I think, on Diggs, the defender literally brought Diggs to the ground. How do you expect a guy to make a play and they were not looking at the ball? They were looking at the receiver. You have to look at the ball. That's the rules, right? Well, clearly it wasn't the rule Sunday afternoon/night. And then, this is in the second quarter. A missed horse collar on Josh Allen. Not on Josh Allen, but like Josh Allen was involved. He was literally spun to the ground by the back of his jersey on his neck. By definition, that is a horse collar. The defender spun him down by his collar. That's why it's called horse collar. His shoulder pad was literally sticking out of his jersey. That's not normal. It was egregious. And that's not all. On top of that, somehow, after a horrendous, absolutely egregious missed horse collar call, it somehow turns into intentional grounding. What? Dude, this moment, I'm not ashamed to say it, I blew up at my TV so hard. I've never been so angry at refs watching a Bills game in my life. I was livid. I should have been there with the refs. I could have called that. I was livid. This horse collar into intentional grounding. His shoulder pad is out of his jersey. And then you're going to say intentional grounding? Get out of here. I blew up so hard at my TV. I didn't hold that. I was up. Well, if you were at my house, that was a loud scene. And then looking back at it, that was a fumble by Devonta Smith in overtime. Point blank. What even is a fumble anymore? Because by definition, it's 2 steps in a football move, right? If we had covered that fumble, game would have been over. And we did recover it, actually. But if it was ruled a fumble in recovery, game would have been over. 2 steps in a football move. Look in the rule book, refs, or anybody. 2, mainly refs, 2 steps in a football move. Okay? Devonta Smith catches it. Oop, oop, 1, 2. And he turns upfield. And then the ball starts coming out. He starts to turn upfield. That's a football move. If you catch it, make 2 steps, and then start to turn upfield to try to get run after catch, that's yak, if you will, yards after catch, excuse me. That's a football move. Turning upfield is a football move. Any movement anywhere is a football move. 2 steps on football move. And that's what happened. These refs were awful. Awful. But like I said, the horse cow, I can't get it. Very loud scene in my house. I blew up, like I said. Anyway, stock up. Now, this is so refreshing to start with this guy because he was dialed in. He was on fire. In the last 2 weeks, he's been in mixed or even stock down for me. But quarterback Josh Allen, he was Superman to Sunday. 29 of 51, 57%. Okay, 57%. 339 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was a horrible interception. He threw it to the defender. He threw it in a triple coverage. He shouldn't have done it. 13 on the year now. Gotta cut that down. But 81 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. This is the fun. This is the fun, energetic Josh Allen I love to see. This is awesome to see. He had energy, and it started. I know I didn't do a Jets recap. It started last week with the Jets when he said to his teammates. Now I'm gonna abbreviate the word because obvious reasons. He said, "I'm effing back" to his teammates on the sideline. He screamed, "I'm effing back" to his teammates on the sideline because he is back. This show, Josh Allen is in all caps back. He was Superman. He was unreal. He did everything for me. He willed them to victory. He finally put it all together. He built off last week. He built off Ken Dorsey being fired and Joe Brady being hired or promoted because he was already in the organization as QB coach. He built off his teammates. He spread the ball around. He got everyone involved. He was unreal. Alien Josh Allen, back. In all caps, back. Next stack up. Wide receiver Stefon Diggs, 6 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. This is like saying the sky is blue, or the sun will rise in the morning, or it snows in the winter. Yeah, no crap. It's Stefon Diggs. He'll go out and have nearly 100 yards nearly every damn game. He did have one crucial drop in the fourth quarter that would have set him up nicely, but whatever. And then wide receiver Khalil Shakir, I'm continue to impress. 3 catches for 47 yards. Like I said with the transition with the wide receiver room position, what's inevitably going to happen in 2024 going into next year. Shakir paired with Diggs. Shakir could be very well be wide receiver 2 next year. So, and then flipping over to defense linebacker, Terrell Bernard. 6 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and 1 interception. Here's a little fun fact for you. I'm going to get into Tremaine Edmonds. These guys will be, Terrell Bernard will inevitably be, Terrell Bernard will inevitably be compared to Tremaine Edmonds his whole Bills career because Tremaine Edmonds played here 5 years. We know about that. The only thing Terrell Bernard doesn't have on Tremaine Edmonds is tackling and mainly size. Terrell Bernard's like 6 foot. Tremaine Edmonds is like a velociraptor out there at 6'5" with a huge wingspan. But fun fact, here we go. Tremaine Edmonds, most interceptions he ever had in a season, 2. Terrell Bernard already has 4 this year. Most sacks Tremaine Edmonds already had. Most sacks Tremaine Edmonds has had in a season with the Bills as a Buffalo Bill. 2. And Terrell Bernard already has 3. He's gonna blow that out of the water if he keeps doing that. He misses a few tackles here and there. That's where Edmonds has them. Because Edmonds is a tackle machine. But Dorian Williams is a fine tackler as well next to him, although he barely plays. I'd like to see him play more, but that's neither here nor there. Talk about Terrell Bernard mainly. He just has a nose for football. There's no doubt he's not as athletic as Tremaine Edmonds, but he has really underrated good coverage ability. He isn't as rangy, obviously, as Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, 6'5" to 6 foot. I mean, But the only thing he's missing is tackling and athleticism. He's just, how can I describe this? He's more flashy than Tremaine Edmonds. He makes more, not athleticism criteria. He makes more splash plays, more tackles for loss, more fumble recoveries. He's on around the ball way more than Tremaine Edmonds ever was. And then a handful of defense linemen here. Defensive end Leonard Floyd. He had one tackle and one pass deflection. He came very, very close to 2 sacks on a couple sacks on the night Sunday. Basically, night. It started at 4:25 and ended at 8:10, basically. Almost a 4-hour game, but sorry, I was thinking. But Leonard Floyd, great addition this offseason. And again, this whole defensive line is free agents this offseason, except Greg Rousseau, who they're going to pick up his 5th-year option. I mean, I'm like 99% sure at this point. And Ed Oliver. Other than that, Daquan Jones is free agent. Tim Settle, Jordan Phillips, Boone Ford, all free agents. Leonard Floyd, Shaq Lawson, AJ Epinesa, Kingsley Jonathan, all free agents. Oh, Von Miller's also under contract, but he's doing nothing. So, but yeah, maybe we bring back Leonard Floyd. He is 31, but he looks like he's 25 up there. He is rolling. Next, defense on Greg Rousseau. He battled through an injury. He kind of had a lull there of like 3 or 4 game stretch, but now I think he's fully healthy again. Maybe like 90% healthy. Before I feel like he was kind of, for that stretch of 3 or 4 games again, he was he was playing through injury, but Greg Rousseau, 4 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 fumble recovery. I'm sorry, I can't remember who forced the fumble, but he was there to pick it up. Defensive end AJ Epinesa, 1 tackle, 1 pass deflection. This was really, really, really good. He's had a great year. He was also close on a sack. And then defensive tackle Ed Oliver, 5 tackles, but on the first drive, he literally pressured Jalen Hurts like 3 times in a row. Like once he pressured, the whole gang got there, but he was the first one to pressure easily. He's winning his one-on-ones with ease. And yeah. Defensive tackle Linval Joseph, 1 tackle and 1 sack. That 1 sack, I know he didn't get Hurts to the ground, but if you run out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage, the quarterback, so Hurts, then they give the closest defender the sack. Credit with the sacks. That was Linval Joseph. I was impressed with Linval Joseph for a guy that's like 330 pounds in a hulking run stop stuffer, if you will, defensive tackle. He showed some athleticism on the sideline. He was getting after Hurts. He rode him again, not on the ground, but he rode him to the sideline the whole way, and he was getting after him. Defensive tackle Tim Settle, 1 tackle, 1 sack. It wasn't really him. It was just he happened to fall into a sack. I don't want to say diminish the sack ever, but it's not really like he created it. His teammates kind of created it for him. Offense coordinator Joe Brady. Really, really love his play calling. He's getting let me start with this. Ever since Joe Brady was promoted to interim offensive coordinator, which I've seen enough to keep him as long-term offensive coordinator, I really want to. I hope they don't move on from him. What was I saying? Joe Brady, they have at least 30 points against the Jets, best defense in the NFL, and 30 points at least against the Eagles, top 5 defense in the NFL, easily. So they have a top 5. They've scored under Joe Brady. The Bills' offense has scored 30 points 2 weeks in a row against top 5 defenses in the NFL. That is that's damn impressive, Joe Brady. But what I like about him most is, play action. I want to go up a lot still. That's still like lingering from the Ken Dorsey tenor. I want them to go up a lot. But design runs for Josh Allen are back. The bazooka throws from Josh Allen are back. Although he can cut down on interceptions, obviously. He's getting his pass catching backs involved. Ty Johnson, his best attribute is pass catching. James Cook, his best attribute by far is pass catching. And the Bills have wanted to get receiving backs involved before. They've wanted to. Drafted James Cook, receiving back. Traded for Nyheim Hines. We know about that. Towards his sale for a year, whatever. Receiving back. Signed Ty Johnson. Receiving back. Signed Latavius Murray. A little bit of everything, but also kind of a receiving back as a veteran. So they've wanted to get this involved. And finally, Joe Brady has unlocked. And when you use your running backs in the passing game out of the backfield, it opens up shots downfield because the defense is expecting you to go running back screen or a wheel route Now, there was this one real route. It was a great route by James Cook. He leaked out of the backfield. A wheel route is basically where they go out of the backfield and just go straight up the sideline or straight up the field. If they're unexpected here, they just go out and whoop. Um, oh, that was a good description. Illustration, I guess. But James Cook dropped it, unfortunately, but that's how that went. But I really love Joe Brady, how he's using everybody and scheming up running backs out of the backfield in the passing game and using their best attributes and getting out of them what they do best finally. Mix. Now these guys didn't necessarily hurt themselves, didn't necessarily help themselves. They're just kind of they were. Running back James Cook. Now on the ground, he had 6 carries for 43 yards, which okay, that was very much expected when you're running on Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. I mean that trio just it stops right there. You're not gonna get any penetration at all from your offense line, although they played well. 6 catches for 57 yards though out of the backfield. He would have had like 80, 85 yards receiving if he had caught that touchdown. That was a walk-in touchdown. And that's why I have him in mixed. If he had caught that, he would have been a huge stack up, but he's got to catch that. It was wide open. Would have been a walk-in touchdown. Beautiful route by James Cook. Just can't finish. That can't happen. It ends up costing us. Mixed wide receiver Gabe Davis, 6 catches, 105 yards, and 1 touchdown. I'll get the dynamics with Gabe, how he's boomer bust. He is. He's shown to be boomer bust. He's boomer bust. I'll get into that in my final thoughts / questions. But the reason I put it in mix, if he didn't run that run route at the end, and if he got that game-winning touchdown, he would have a huge stack up. But it was an option route. It doesn't literally mean option. Like it doesn't literally mean it's up to Gabe Davis. It's like, hey buddy, you have an option. Choose which way you want to go. No, Josh Allen tells them which way to go. Option just means that quarterback has the option to tell them what to do, not the receiver has the option. Other way around. So, yeah, Josh Allen told him one way, and he totally ran the wrong way. So, stock down. Safety Micah Hyde, 6 tackles. I'll get into dynamics of these old players and how, like, maybe they'd be replaced, like Poyer, Hyde, Trey White. And he's 29, but, like, torn ACL and then torn Achilles 2 years in a row, respectively. That's rough. But getting back to Micah Hyde, he had 6 tackles in the night, I guess, but like he led up a touchdown to who was it, AJ Brown or Devonta Smith? One of the star receivers, AJ Brown or Devonta Smith. Micah Hyde, he didn't even excuse me, he didn't even put his hand up. Like he didn't even try to defend it. Like he was going for the interception, I believe, but he didn't even put his hand up. He just kind of like stood in front of him. And AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are both 2 very physical receivers. I think it was AJ Brown, and he's like muscular, so physical receiver. So stock down. Defensive end Von Miller. I know he collapsed the pocket to create a sack. What was it for Tim Seidel? I think. Either way, though, like he's not doing anything. He hasn't even recorded like a stat in the year, like no tackles at least. At least record a tackle. And he's taking away snaps from Epinesa. Epinesa is only playing 45% of defensive snaps. And in late game situations, guess who trots out there? Von Miller's butt. Von Miller goes out there in late game situations and crucial final drives. In the final drive, it's that Epinesa. I really don't get it. And then kicker Tyler Bass, he was 2 of 4 on field goals. The first one was tipped by Jalen Carter. Okay. Second one wasn't even close. He hooked it right, wide right. We know about wide right in Buffalo. I was informed for that. Thank God it wasn't because I probably wouldn't be able to handle myself. But anyway, kicker Tyler Bass. He's been shaky all season, and he got a contract extension this past offseason before the season. I think in like July. Him and Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver has outplayed it. Tyler Bass, he has disappointed. It's 1 year. Actually, the contract extension doesn't kick in until next year, 2024, but he's been really shaky this season. And then I get to my last one in a minute. Late game defense. What is going on? Like for the first 3.5 quarters, this defense is awesome. They're flying around. They're forcing fumbles. They're having interceptions. They're having a party. They're doing great. In the last 2 minutes of games, they completely falter. They just fold yeah. And then penalties in the offensive line, 8 penalties in the first half, only 2 in the second. None in the second half, I believe, but and 6 of those were on the offense line. And now the biggest knockdown of them all. I'm going to get very spirited about this. I won't swear or anything, but Sean McDermott, the head coach, Sean McDermott, and the defensive coordinator, Sean McDermott. Both versions. Let's start with the defensive coordinator, Sean McDermott. What are you doing? It's not a coincidence that for the first 3.5 quarters of literally every freaking game, your defense is balling out. And then the last 2 minutes of the quarter falters. What, Sean? This is me speaking to you as a defensive coordinator. What's with you and these all-out blitzes? You've barely done it all game, and then all of a sudden, the last 2 minutes, you call an all-out blitz? What the hell? Sorry, but what are you doing? Situational football. It's a sloppy defensive call. It's a sloppy defense because of you. Now, let's get to the head coach, Sean McDermott. And this is much worse. Much, much worse. Where do I even start? His situational football is pitiful. You keep, first of all, you have 20 seconds until halftime. I was outraged. I still can't fathom this. You have 20 seconds till halftime. Jake Elliott is lining up for a field goal for the Eagles. And Sean McDermott has 2 timeouts with 20 seconds left. And he called one to try to ice Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott is one of the very best kickers in the league. He's not going to get iced. It's a pretty short field goal, too. You're not going to ice a kicker on one of the best kickers in the league on a short field goal. Save those timeouts. Could you imagine what you could do with 2 timeouts in 20 seconds? You don't have to throw the sideline anymore. If it's there, you don't have to get out of bounds. You can throw a shot to the middle of the field. But even though he calls a timeout, which was stupid, okay, they have 1 left with 20 seconds left. Let's try something. No, we're going to take a knee. We're just going to fold. Let's just go on to halftime and lose. Let's just not even try. Sean, you have a quarterback that can roll on a bed and throw it 80 yards down the field with ease. He has a bazooka for an arm, the strongest arm in the league by far. What in the actual hell are you thinking? I'm sorry, Sean McDermott, but that is a coward move. You cost your team. You're not even going to try anything? Are you kidding? That whole sequence was cowardly by Sean McDermott. I don't know how else to put it. From the called timeout to try to ice the very best kickers in the game with a short field goal, and then not even to try anything with a quarterback that can throw it 80 yards down the field. Get your head on straight. Get your head out of your you-know-what. What is going on? A sloppy football team because of you. And I don't want to keep hearing it's on the players. It's on the players. It's on the players. Execution. Stop it. If you keep saying it's on the players, it comes back to the head guy. It's got to come back to the head guy after. If you keep, I'm trying to phrase this right. If you keep saying players, execution, it's got to stop somewhere. At some point, you got to stop and look yourself in the eye and say, I am the problem. I don't want to hear there's no one left. Nobody. I don't want to hear McDermott's the scapegoat. Leslie Frazier, gone. Ken Dorsey, gone. Sean McDermott, there is no one left to hide behind. Nowhere left to hide. Both your coordinators are gone. And don't tell me, I don't want to hear excuses this. Well, it's a lot on his plate because he's the head coach and the defensive coordinator. He chose to call the defense. He chose to be the defensive coordinator on his own. He could have hired someone, so he brought that on himself. I don't want to hear it. He brought that on himself. There's nowhere left to hide. Your coordinators are gone. Well, who are we going to blame next? The athletic trainer for not preparing them right for the game? We going to blame the cafeteria staff for feeding them the wrong meat? Going to blame the cafeteria staff for feeding them the wrong food? That why they played? That why they didn't execute out there on the field? I don't get it. stop. It's got to stop somewhere. Sean McDermott is becoming stale. He continually, game after game, even in wins in some cases, they're lucky to win because he gets out coached. He gets outworked. If it's too much to call the defense and be the head coach, you shouldn't have brought it on yourself in the first place. You should have hired a defensive coordinator. If you feel that's too much, then say that. Sorry, but he annoys me so much. Who are we going to blame next? Like I said, the cafeteria staff, the athletic trainers, the security guards. There's no one left to blame. Your coordinators are gone. It's you, Sean. And another thing, can Terry Pegula, the owner of the Bills, and I know people can say, well, he might be busy with the Sabres. He doesn't really operate. Yeah, he owns the Sabres, but he doesn't really operate the Sabres anymore. He has people doing that over there. It was announced over offseason. Can Terry Pegula be a capable owner? Can he be involved? He hasn't spoken to the media since 2019. We're falling off the rails here. Speak to the media. Be an involved owner. I don't want to. You don't have to speak every day, but not speaking in 4 years. You're the owner. Right the ship here. He's totally handed the keys over to McDermott, and it's failing. McDermott is the head of the table here. He has the keys to the kingdom. Pegula has all of the faith in the world in him. Pegula doesn't say a damn word to anybody. And I think he needs to speak out more because this is ridiculous. Look at Jimmy Mercer, the Colts. He's tweeting every goddamn day. Now, I don't want to do that, but I don't want him to be like owner like David Tepper, the Panthers, who's very controversial and awful owner, but be involved. You're a good owner. Be involved. Stop letting Sean McDermott run the whole thing and speak to the media every time, and you do nothing. Terry Pegula, talk. You haven't talked in 4 years. Speak up. Anyway, that's that. My big slice of the game. I'm just sick of how this operation. I'm just done. Big slice of the game award. Now this is my player of the game. Big slice of the game. Quarterback Josh Allen. I don't feel like anyone overly impressed. He willed his team. He did so much for his team. I feel so bad for Josh Allen. He got receivers involved, and then his stupid head coach / defensive coordinator had to put his players in put those players in positions to fail, and he can't even get the job done. I feel bad for Josh Allen. They're continuing losing one-score games because McDermott's getting outworked and outcoached. Burnt slice of the game award. I just want a whole 5 to 10 minute rant about it. Sean McDermott, lucky you, buddy. Lucky you, bud. You're the burnt slice of the game award. I usually give it to a player, but I'm done with you. You got to stop. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, stop. It's on the players. It's on me. It's on me. I don't want to hear execution. Just cut it with that. Reflecting on 5 game predictions from preview. Now, obviously, I didn't do a preview, internship, holiday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. I said that at the beginning. So there were no picks this week. Final thoughts / questions. These can be about specific position groups, specific situations where this team is headed. Josh Allen did all he could for this team. This was vintage Josh Allen. He's officially back. Back in all caps. Dude was unreal yesterday. I know he's not going AFC Offensive Player of the Week because they lost, but if they won, he for sure would have got it. I would give it to him. I don't give a damn that they lost. That's because of Sean McDermott. This was rookie Josh Allen. And you might be saying, Aiden, what are you talking about? Josh Allen's rookie year was awful. He had more interceptions than touchdowns, and he played recklessly like Anthony Richardson is this year. I meant that in the sense of he's willing to run more. He's saying, F it, I got to do this myself. F it, I got to put this team on my back. And that's what he did. He acted like a Superman Sunday, and it was awesome. I love Josh Allen. Favorite thing in the world. Awesome. Next, Gabe Davis had a huge game, but this is who Gabe is. He'll have a huge game, then disappear and do nothing for 3 games, then have a huge game again, then disappear, then get the cycle over and over. That's how it goes. The very definition of a boomer bust player. And that's what I'm saying. If he wants more than $10 million a year this offseason, which he thinks he's a wide receiver too, yeah, well, sorry, bud, but you're not. But he thinks he is. Then he'll probably want 12 to 13 million. Yeah, in your dreams. See you later. But this is who Gabe is. very definition of boomer bust. He'll either have 3 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown or no catches at all and be only a blocking receiver. That's should be used honestly. There's no in between. He never has a high volume like 6+ catches. It's either 3 for 100 a touchdown or 0. I really hope that once this is kind of like just a personal thing. I really hope that once Dawson Knox comes back, Khalil Shakir's snaps don't dip. And inevitably they probably will. I hope they stay in 11 personnel because in 11 personnel, the true tight end Dalton Kincaid. I want to see a lot more action from him Sunday, but that's whatever. They spread it around enough and got the backs going out of the backfield. My point is, I hope they stay 11 personnel because it features a true, actual slot receiver. I hope they don't go back sets, the 2 tight end sets of Dawson Knox. Knox is he's not a great blocker. He's a serviceable, okay blocker. That's the one advantage he has over Dalton Kincaid. But route running, Dalton Kincaid gets the advantage. Dalton Kincaid has route running, more athletic than Dawson Knox. Hands, because Dawson Knox has very questionable hands. He drops a lot. Now, it's not like Dalton Kincaid's a horrible blocker. I mean, he's pretty bad right now, but at least he's willing to block. He has moments here and there where he never pancakes anybody, but he holds his own. Next, this offensive line is elite. Now, what do you mean they had 6 flags on 6 out of 8 flags in the first half? It's still elite. Easily the best offensive line Josh Allen's had in his career by far. The guards have been rotating every year of Josh Allen's career. The only stable guy has been Dion Dawkins. He's having a career year. If you could poke one hole, if you went in this offensive line, I would say Connor McGovern, but he's locked in for this year in the next 2 years, so basically 3 years by now. So your guards are locked in for the future with Connor McGovern and Osiris Torrance. Your tackles are hopefully locked in with Spencer Brown having an awesome year with Spencer Brown, Dion Dawkins. The only contingency plan, if you will, you have to have is Mitch Morse because he is 30 and he's had multiple concussions over his career, so he might want to hang it up relatively soon. By that I mean retire. Von Miller just isn't right. He's taking away crucial snaps from AJ Epinesa. Like I said, why is he in there in late games at all over AJ Epinesa? It makes 0 sense. Moving on, I have a lot of points here. I really don't understand why Poona Ford continues to be inactive every game. His defensive snaps and playing time, he deserves snaps, and playing time over Tim Settle at the very least, maybe even Jordan Phillips, but give all Tim Settle snaps. Hell, have Tim Settle inactive and Poona Ford active. Sean McDermott will be gone after this year. I just talked about it, the 5 to 10 minute rant. It's not if we miss the playoffs, he's gone. It's when we miss the playoffs, he's gone. He's getting axed. My only concern is, again, Terry Pegula, not involved owner. My only concern is Terry Pegula leading a head coaching search. My only fear, how am I word this? My only fear is Terry Pegula. I don't really trust him to make good hires. Like, look at the coaches this man has hired in his career in the Bills and Sabres. Multiple duds at Sabres coach, and I know like nothing about hockey. So, but I know Dan Granado is a pretty good coach right now. For him, they had dud after dud, and then somehow this was the worst one by far. Somehow Rex Ryan sat in front of Terry Pegula, and somehow that man convinced them that he's an NFL head coach. I don't know how that happened, but somehow that Rex Ryan convinced that Terry Pegula, that he's an NFL head coach. Don't ask me how that happens. So Terry Pegula has a pretty bad track record before Sean McDermott, and I guess the Dan Granado one, mainly Sean McDermott, but he'll be gone for this year. I don't give a crap that he got a contract extension for this offseason. I would keep Bean because I think he's a great GM. He's not excellent. There are a few holes, but every GM has their holes in drafting and stuff. His early round hits aren't the greatest. I mean, look at Kyler Elam, look at Boogie Basham, look at AJ Epinesa until this year where he's having a career year. I would keep being, but McDermott, you're getting the axe. I don't give a crap about you anymore. I'm not going to be, this is kind of like a personal thing again, but I'm not going to be stressing out too much about veteran contract extensions this offseason. I believe that this team needs an infusion of youth at multiple positions, especially on defense. Transitioning to a new nucleus of players, if you will. The secondary days on defense of Trey White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, like those 2018 through 2020 days are gone. We need a youth at that. And then a wide receiver like Gabe Davis Walker, really don't care. Stefon Diggs is 30 now, so hopefully you can draft a wide receiver 2 that can eventually become the wide receiver 1. Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, I would love any one of them. So that was kind of my Bills thing. I hope you agree with that Sean McDermott thing. Like, if you don't, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. I'm a very spirited person when it comes to the Bills. Obviously, because I've loved them for like 8 or 9 years, give or take. So yeah. Next, now I'm incorporating this episode because I know this is primarily a Bills podcast, right? But to kind of unwind from the spirited conversation we have, spirited conversations and discussions we have, I want to kind of look at the NFL as a whole. So I'm going to do NFL topic of the day because I love just talking football in general. So today I picked potential head coach firings. So obviously Raiders Josh McDaniels got fired at the end of October, and Panthers Frank Reich, David Tepper's an awful owner, but he got fired yesterday. I have, 14 more coaches that have the possibility of getting fired. I'll go through them and explain them. Bill Sean McDermott, I just want a whole rant about that. Not going to rehash it. Patriots, Bill Belichick. Now, the Patriots are sputtering. They're going to get Caleb Williams or Drake May. They'll be set up for the future. But Bill Belichick as a GM is terrible. He doesn't know how to find talent. What? Your wide receiver one, Demario Demario Douglas? Okay. Tyquan Thornton's been nothing. Wow, I butchered that. Devontae Parker, big possession receiver. Okay. Gabe Davis type. I guess Gabe Davis is a little better, but whatever. But as a head coach, I feel like he's losing the locker room. So I think they're going to force him to, do the one of retire, wink, wink, to make it look better. I think Bill Belichick will resign or retire on his own to make it look better. No, I didn't get fired. I chose to leave. Sure, you did, bud. Sure. Anyway, so that's that. Next, Jets Robert Saleh. I don't see again. These have been rumored firings or my personal opinion. Adam Schefter did say yesterday on Pat McAfee show that he's hearing that there could be a total of 7 to 10 coaches fired, which would be abnormal because it's a few more than we usually get. We usually get in any given year only 4 or 5. On the high end, 6 or 7, but 7 to 10. I mean, that 10 would be astronomical. But Robert Saleh, I feel like he does have the crutch from Woody Johnson of Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles and the Zach Wilson horrible play. Next, Browns Kevin Stefanski. Again, I would fire him, but I feel like he is the crutch of his defense was balling and the Deshaun Watson shoulder injury out for the season. Titans Mike Vrabel. Now, if the Patriots job opens up, I feel like he could be traded because he's under contract, right? And you can trade coaches. So I feel like he would be traded. Sean Payton was traded from the Saints to the Broncos, and the Broncos gave up 2 first-round picks for a coach. Seems stupid, but really questionable there. But Mike Vrabel could be traded from the Titans to the Patriots if the job opens up, or he played linebacker for years, and he was really, really good. I think he's in the Patriots Ring of Honor or Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it there. Chargers Brandon Staley. How the hell is he not out already? He should have been gone after they blew the 27-0 lead to the Jaguars in the playoffs last year. The offensive coordinator was fired, Joe Lombardi, and the quarterback coach, Pep Hamilton, I think it was, was fired, which I agree with. But the head coach should have been packing his bags along with him. And then Cowboys Mike McCarthy. I said it on a recent video a couple months ago on the channel. I think I was talking about like midseason report card for all teams where I placed them in different contending categories. I did have the Cowboys in a Super Bowl contender category, but I feel like if they don't get at least the NFC Championship game appearance, then I feel like McCarthy should be gone. But I don't know if anyone trusts Jerry Jones to actually pull the trigger because he held on Jason Garrett for a few years too long, way too long in my opinion. But yeah, Giants Brian Daboll. I feel like he's the crutch of Daniel Jones towards ACL. Their whole offense line's been beat up all year. A couple receivers have been beat up and not good. But if he gets fired, and Sean McDermott when he gets fired, and next Ron Rivera when he gets fired, he's the next one. Commanders Ron Rivera. Listen to this. Listen, Ron Rivera fired from the Commanders. Sean McDermott fired from the Bills. Brian Daboll, although I don't think he will be, but let's just say for fun, he is fired from the Giants. Brian Daboll comes back to be head coach of the Bills. Sean McDermott, since he was defensive coordinator in Carolina, goes back to Carolina to be the head coach. And then Ron Rivera comes to Buffalo to be the defensive coordinator because he's a defensive-minded guy. I wouldn't love it. I would love like Jerron Mayo, linebackers coach from the Patriots, or someone like that. But that's just a scenario that could play out. Uh, Bears Matt Eberflus, although they had 4 interceptions, almost nearly 5, and Jalen Johnson had 2 of them. They got to pay Jalen Johnson this offseason. They have a crap ton of. They have a ton of cap space this offseason. They can do it. Matt Eberflus, although I don't think he will be. I thought it was a sure thing, like a month ago, but now I'm doubting myself with that because, well, doubting that he actually will be fired because his defense. He's a defense guy. And his defense was last week's has been awesome, and Trey Edmonds has been awesome too, and Jalen Johnson. Falcons, Arthur Smith. I feel like if he makes the playoffs and wins that division, it's going to delay the inevitable. Like, what are you going to do? Go and lose in the wild card round to a wild card team because you're going to win the division? They're leading the NFC South at 5-6. Falcons are 5-6. Saints are 5-6. Bucks are like 4-8, 4-7, and somewhere around there. And then the Panthers are obviously 1-10 who just fired Frank Wright. So like weakest division ever. But Arthur Smith, I feel like he's going to prove to the manager, see, I know what I'm doing. Saints, Dennis Allen, same thing. I feel like if he makes the playoffs, one team is making the playoffs in that division. It's the NFC South winner. And I feel like he's going to delay the inevitable as well. Buccaneers, Todd Bowles, they're just not going anywhere. I think he actually will be fired. And then Seahawks, Pete Carroll, that might be a surprising one, you guys, but like they've just been kind of like not mediocrity. They've just been kind of like sneaky playoff contenders for the last few years. And Gino's kind of, I feel like I said this before the year. Unfortunately, it was kind of a one-year wonder, and it's turning out to be that way. Anyways, guys, this has been today's episode of Around the Slice. Thanks for listening to my spirited rant about Sean McDermott. I just can't fathom what he does in these games anymore. It's costing our team, and he's going to be fired. Although I don't know if I trust Tyreek. If it were me, I would fire him. Bring in Ben Johnson, offense coordinator from the Lions. Bring in Ben Johnson. I would drool to have him. Awesome. Anyways, guys, for some quick plugs, you can follow me personally on Twitter at AWeingartner13. You can follow the show, of course, on Twitter at Around Slice. You can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or, of course, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And lastly, you can support me on Patreon for just $3 a month. Extra exclusive content, for example, weekly power rankings. Look at the whole NFL 1-32 for just $3 a month. That is around the Patreon. I always mess this up. Patreon. It's patreon.com/around the slice. And yeah, the Bills have a bye week. Now, I usually miss the Bills. I usually on a Sunday, I'm like, oh, the Bills aren't on today. I'm kind of bored. But I just want to sit back, man, and watch the rest of the league. Like, I need a mental health break from watching the Bills. I need a break from watching the Bills for a week. I need a break from watching McDermott collapse. I need a break from slamming McDermott. I need a break from going on rants on this podcast. So maybe next Monday or Tuesday. Not next Monday because man, maybe next Tuesday. I'm not promising an episode, but maybe it will give us a chance since the Bills aren't playing to look at the league as a whole and reflect on the weekend and to see how it shakes out in the AFC. Maybe some other interesting content. Anyways, guys, this has been today's episode of Around the Slice. Thank you for listening or watching, whatever one you are. I appreciate it. To this spirited episode. I hope you agree. If you disagree, tell me in the comments below why. If you're not on YouTube, come on over. If you disagree, I'd love to hear why. We can have healthy football discussion down there. And yeah, this has been today's episode of Around the Slice. I'll be back next Tuesday, hopefully looking at the league as a whole since the Bills aren't playing. I'll see you later. Bye.